Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending where you are. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz, and I'm joining you from the Breaking News Show on eTurbo News. This time, I'm calling you from Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia. And with me is Dr. Peter Tarlow in College Station, Texas. Since we always start with the weather, I just witnessed a wonderful sunset here on the 26th floor of my hotel at the Hyatt Regency over the desert and the city of Riyadh. It was spectacular. So, and it's warm outside and no clouds. How I don't know how things are in College Station. You tell us, Peter.
I don't know either. I'll be quite honest. We've had a week of chaos. I got back to Texas on Tuesday and it was 80 degrees, which is about 28 degrees Celsius. Then the next day it dropped to about 4 degrees, or about 4 degrees Celsius, about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Then the next day it rained. Then the next day it was sunny. So literally this is typical Texas weather. If you don't like it, wait 20 minutes and it will change. So we've had cold, hot, rain, sun, you name it, has all been within the last week. So it's been it's good weather to get sick. And I'm afraid a lot of people will end up getting sick because of the rapid climatic changes that are going on here.
Well, I definitely also had some rapid climate changes traveling from Honolulu via San Francisco when it did get cold, and then to Germany where it was freezing cold, and back on the plane to Saudi Arabia where it's hot and warm. And yeah, it's a strange thing. So to travel, especially when you have to bring your winter clothes and your summer clothes at the same time.
Yes, that happens to me all the time. And on top of that, if you take too many pieces of luggage, they get lost or somebody steals them. There's a big scandal going on right now in the United States where the person who's in charge of nuclear waste ended up stealing somebody else's bag and took the tags off the bag. And of course, it was on camera, so they were able to find him right away. But that turned into a whole major scandal here. But that's an issue. People, there is now, we've gone back to people stealing other people's luggage. So when you travel, you have to try to travel as light as possible so that you don't have luggage to be stolen.
Or you have a huge, big suitcase like I am, you can identify right away if someone takes it. I guess that's also got my big...
Yeah, well, most airports have a good camera system, so they can figure out who's stealing it. But it's still, if the person goes straight to the baggage claim, and maybe you stop to go to the restroom or whatever, and it takes a few minutes till you get there, your bag is gone and you just think it's lost.
Yeah, I know, and that's definitely something you have to be careful. And in Europe, I think people are a lot more aware of it because if you do go to the toilet someplace and leave your bag outside, someone is just going to come running to you and asking, I wouldn't do that. Take it inside. Yeah, it's a hungry world for thieves, I guess. But talking about Saudi Arabia, it's very safe here. I don't think the problem of theft is a big issue here in this country. And I have to say, after staying here now for my 5th night, I'm quite impressed with the tourism opportunities here, left and right, not only tourism. Altogether, it's a country opening literally from being one of the most closed countries in the world. It's opening every day a little bit more. But the most important part I was here was really for the World Travel and Tourism Council summit, what happened at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel here in Riyadh. And this was probably out of all the summits I attended, and I've been attending WTTC summits every year starting from 2003, so that's quite a few summits. This was by far the largest, the best, and the most visited. I think they had tourism ministers alone from 56 countries here and CEOs of all the larger organizations with 8,000 people coming in and out, and it's never been like this before. Why this is? well, the world is waking out of COVID. And then, of course, Saudi Arabia is spending billions of dollars in
Spending
tourism, and everyone, I think, wants
actually,
to get
not even billions,
wants to get a piece
trillions.
of it, a share of it. So people are coming to see, what the opportunities are. And but it was a good event. I think it was a worthwhile event going, and the world is talking to each other in tourism, what is all very positive.
Yeah, that certainly Saudi Arabia is becoming a major power. And I think that was kind of symbolized to the detriment of my friends in Argentina by the fact that the World Cup started with Saudi Arabia defeating Argentina. And that
There
was
was a
a
big story here too, yes.
yeah, that was a really major story around the world. Most people don't think of Saudi Arabia as a football power, and here uh, Argentina may end up winning the World Cup. But the bottom line is that Argentina is one of the big, strong world empires when it comes to football, so soccer, and the Saudis beat them, which was, and that was shocking. And maybe that's kind of symbolic of the Saudi Arabia opening itself up to the world.
Yeah, it's opening it step by step. You cannot say it's open to the world. It's opening. Yes, I think that's probably the best impression. Things
Yes,
are different
exactly.
here, and doesn't mean they're bad. I mean, obviously, you cannot have a drink yet, and that's okay. Okay, I don't really drink, and they have some wonderful non-alcoholic cocktails here. I've never even tasted in before, and I love the mint and lemonade, and the food is big variety of food here in Riyadh. Wasn't too impressed
In the
with
Middle East, it
had
can
a,
be spectacular. Many people now see Middle Eastern food as the top food in the world, and it gets better ratings than much of the finest French cuisine. Again, no insulting to the French, but the Middle East has really come up across the Middle East. Every single country in the Middle East is doing a spectacular job of creating really great gastronomic tourism.
no, absolutely. I had Armenian food here across from the Hyatt where I'm staying. It was spectacular. I mean, I've never tasted anything. It was like this. This starting from the salad. It's it and then and the meat with cherries, and it was simple, but it was just good and very tasty, very fresh. And So it's a different atmosphere. I love the coffee. You know, I'm a coffee fanatic, and some of the coffee places here in the neighborhood, there are many coffee places. I think Saudis love to sit in coffee places and talk, and it's very comfortable. Even when you go to Starbucks, you have nice leather couches and seats and plenty of places to sit down. It's huge, and so are the other places. So it's a different atmosphere. My hotel here is fantastic. I have a beautiful suite here at the Hyatt, and it's a nice hotel with a state-of-the-art gym and pool. But not all hotels are like this. I stayed at the
No,
Radisson Blue
and
before here in Saudi when I came, and I really, I wouldn't stay there again. And the food was awful. They had club sandwiches and spaghetti. So it depends where you go, I guess.
well, of course. And I think the other thing we want to be careful is that um, you're looking at high-end tourism, but there's also, in order for tourism to really work, and this is a problem, uh, with tourism is reunited, is really starting again after COVID. But if it becomes tourism only of the rich or only five-star tourism, then eventually tourism will have a major problem. So we have to be able to give quality service to people of all economic categories. And that's very important. The other thing is the whole issue of customer service. And I don't know if that's a problem in Saudi Arabia as much, but around the world, certainly in Europe, in the United States, in Latin America, there are not many people who want to work. And because they don't want to work, you have lack of employment. I've been recently on a number of first class first class business flights on an American airline, not American Airlines, but a U.S. carrier, and the food was incredibly awful. And the service wasn't very good. And so that's going to be a real issue because people are paying more and getting less. Now, a place like Saudi Arabia may have enough employees to make things work, but much of the world, that's going to be a real problem. And it's going to eventually impact tourism if we don't find ways to get more employees into the system.
Well, what appears here, they don't have enough hotels. The hotels are very booked. They're quite pricey. And I didn't notice any lack of employment. But if you wanted to go on a tour and buy a tour, it's almost impossible. And they're not that far yet. Actually, yesterday I did have a tour, and it was organized complimentary by the Ministry of Tourism, what I have to thank for, because it really was an eye-opener. And I had a tour guide, an excellent tour guide. Actually, he studied in the United States. He spoke fluent English. And he said what he's doing here, he is actually in charge of teaching other tour guides, and they're not enough. That's why they don't really have tours. If you want to go here and do sightseeing, well, it's a challenge. But service level and those that are employed in the industry I met, you have a feeling they really stand behind it. They're doing it with their heart. They don't do it because they have to do it. And that's a good feeling because people really love what they're doing from anyone I met here. So it's not like, oh my God, it's another day I have to do a job. But you don't get this feeling, at least.
Yeah, you do get that feeling in much of the Western world. And people, not wanting to come. I was not long ago in Frankfurt Airport, and they don't have enough people. They literally, I noticed that it was really difficult to find people who wanted to work at Frankfurt Airport. And when I spoke to people at various airlines, they said they don't always have. It's hard even to get the proper food to the airlines, and also you wait quite a while till your bags are delivered at baggage. So I'm really glad to know that in the Middle East that's not a problem.
Yeah, and Peter, just to interrupt you on Frankfurt, I did fly through Frankfurt, and actually I stayed 2 nights at the airport Hilton Hotel, and I had an experience what really confirmed this, and also after talking to the general manager of the hotel who apologized, when I went to the executive lounge the first evening just to get a quick bite, I noticed there was like glass on the floor, and there was a complete chaos. It was like a bomb attack, and it appears all the people sitting in there, no one really cared. They just had their drinks, and it was really awful. So I thought something is wrong here. So I was looking for someone who could be working there. Was no one there, and then I saw a door says private. I opened the door, and I see this employee, what apparently was a lady from Thailand, on the floor bleeding and bleeding and bleeding, and no one knew. And
that's not good.
It was not good. And then I tried to call, get help for her, and no one picked up the phone. Even when you clicked off the red emergency button, it rang and rang and rang and rang. And there is no one there in the hotel. The front desk, there was only one lady working. She was overwhelmed with a long line of people. So I went down, this was on the 10th floor, to the ground floor, to get some help. And so I went into the bar, and there was a bartender, and said, look, you got to do something and help. And he did right away, I have to say. And they had emergency people there from the Frankfurt airport within a minute, basically. But this lady could have bled to death, and no one would have ever known. There's not enough people. And the reason, when I talked to the general managers, there's not enough people to start with, and now there is a flu season. So, and then there's Corona. So they had like almost 60% of their people they did have, and they were supposed to work out on that day because of flu and Corona.
Yes. And then to add to it, it's going to be the whole issue of lack of heat, especially in Europe. As you know, that France now has reopened its coal mines. And so I don't know if you read about that because you've been away for a while, but the French are now, because they don't have enough oil in France, they are going back to coal heat. And of course, that's a whole issue there for pollution. So you now have the issue, the irony that because countries that went too green can no longer now sustain themselves, they're now going to coal, which is maybe the dirtiest form of heat possible. So you have this irony taking place, and a number of other European countries are now talking about reverting to coal. So there's the war in Ukraine. As a matter of fact, we have a friend in Ukraine, a good friend, Ivan, who's in Odessa, and he's trying to write a book with me. And he was able to get a message to me a few days ago saying, I'm really sorry, but I haven't been able to contact you because of the fact that we have so little electricity. I have 5-10 minutes of electricity. I'm taking part of that to write to you to let you know I'm not ignoring you. But that the Ukrainian war, which seems to be continuing and no one sees an end in sight, is really going to take a toll on the world of tourism because of the lack of resources. And we don't know how much grain is going to be able to ship. And the lack of shipping of grain may have other economic issues around the world. So enjoy where you are because it's warm and there are people there, and the country's somewhat functioning.
No, the country is functioning and gas prices are quite cheap, and so is transportation. So you can take an Uber here and go for 30 minutes and you only pay like $2-3. So it's I guess gas prices are no issue here. So that's one of the places in the world.
Yeah. How much do you have an idea how much gas is in
Actually, I have to pay
dollars?
attention. I think it's about in a gallon about $1.40, $1.50. So it's not that cheap, but I guess it's cheap enough.
Oh, $1.40 is very cheap. If you think in Washington D.C., gas is almost $4 a gallon in some places.
Well, in Hawaii, it's $6. When I left, it was $6.05. I couldn't believe it.
Right. And eventually, in the United States and in Europe, because they use part of the strategic oil reserves, you're going to see in about 3 weeks gas prices going much higher. And that impacts airlines and airline tickets and the cost of heat. So it's not just filling up your tank. The cost of diesel being expensive means all food is transported through diesel, and tourism lives on food. Nobody's going to want to go to a hotel if you can't eat, or you only get cold spaghetti.
Yeah, and many European countries really put an emphasis on public transportation. Public transportation is excellent. I mean, I took the airport train from the airport to Düsseldorf. What was an hour and a few minutes, basically going 315 kilometers.
But even public transportation has to use some form of energy. It doesn't come from the sky.
No, of course.
And so if the cost goes up or there's lack of energy, that's going to impact public transportation, private transportation, and European countries are dependent on the moving of food either by train or truck. And those both use diesel. So no matter how you play it, you're still going to end up with a very difficult situation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But going back to tourism, there was a very positive atmosphere here during WTTC, and this comes from every corner of the world because we had people here literally from every corner of the world, including the US. And so the outlook for tourism are tremendous. I don't really believe all the numbers because, as you rightfully said, the situation in Ukraine and the energy crisis may put a big question mark on these outlooks, but we'll see. But so far it's a positive vibe, and it appears that Saudi Arabia is really took a leadership position in this industry, and will push it forward but altogether it is a positive vibe in tourism, what I guess is good. We're going to see some shifting in how tourism is run around the world, I believe, and we just all have to see how this business could continue to strive, and that's what everyone wanted. But again, the WTTC conference was extremely positive. I think everyone agreed with this, and there's been a lot of MOU signs, a lot of investment ideas exchanged and concluded. So it's all positive.
That's great. Well, I think this has been a really interesting session. One of the things that we've learned from this, and I know you'll be able to put it all together, but the electricity in your room has come in on and off, and maybe that's symbolic of the world of tourism, which is having its ups and downs. And so maybe we should see this not as a pain, but rather as a metaphor for the fact that there are parts of the tourism world that are doing great, and there are parts of the tourism world that have some lots of challenges. And part of those challenges are infrastructure, and part of those challenges are being able to have a steady flow. So I'm wondering if maybe today's difficulties are not symbolic of some of the issues that we'll be facing in the future and why we need to work together.
Yeah, no, and just to be fair to the Hyatt here, the electricity didn't go off for no reason. I checked out of the hotel, and I'm not supposed to be in this room anymore, and I just now extended about 30 minutes ago because Royal Jordanian Airlines canceled my flight. So I'm stranded. So I guess the hotel just thought.
So again, that's again symbolic, you know. So I think what we're seeing though in the world of tourism is some really great progress, and then we have some challenges, and that's, you know, and we'll work that out together as a way that we can go on for progress. But I do think tourism is working hard at trying to bring people together. And hopefully it'll be an opening to the world where we'll find greater sense of peace. Maybe we can have good competition like going on the World Cup, and maybe that's the type of competition we want rather than people shooting each other. Let's shoot goals, not bullets.
Absolutely. Well, Peter, it's a pleasure
Yes.
seeing that you're
And
okay.
I'm glad you're back. I know that people are going to be have been asking when we were coming back, so we are back, and I think the next one will be, assuming God willing you get to Bangkok, we'll do it from Bangkok from a hospital bed.
No, I'm not going to a hospital, please.
Not because you're sick. I think you're going for some medical checkups.
No. That was planned in April. No, that's not the case. No.
All right, don't get sick.
No, I don't get sick, so don't wish me a hospital in Bangkok.
No. Okay, stay well. What will you be doing in Bangkok?
I'm really not going to do very much in Bangkok. I'm going to be there for 2 nights. I'm going to meet some friends, and I'm going to be in Jordan actually tomorrow, and also going to meet some friends, and then I'm going home. But
Okay.
hopefully no hospital.
Okay, stay well, have a safe journey home, and try to avoid the airline food.
No, all right, okay.
All right,
You
bye-bye.
take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.